Afternoon, everyone. My name is Alyssa Brown, and I'm with Open Door Ministries located in Gainesville, Florida. And I'm here today with Mary Alford, candidate for Alachua County Commission, Seat 1. Mary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Definitely. We're so glad that you were able to join us. So, Mary, we're hosting this series of interviews to help our church members and, by extension, the community learn more about our candidates and where they stand on the issues that affect us. And so I'd like to jump in and talk a little bit about your platform. So what are the most pressing needs you see in Alachua County, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, first, I'm running on a platform of three basic things. And of course, it's not the only thing I want to do, but these are the things I'm focusing on. And first is sustainability. And a lot of people just equate sustainability with the environment. But to me, sustainability is a balance between the environment, which our past commission has been very good on, the economy, and equity. So if you balance all three of those things together, you get a healthier community. If you build the greenest house, the most energy efficient house, the problem is some people can't afford that. So it's not equitable and it's not economically viable. But if we put equity and economic viability into the equation with the environment, then we end up trying to build the best house we can for everybody, right? So that's kind of an example of how we might look at that. Mm-hmm. So I believe that the commission needs to have a bigger focus on those other two parts of the equation, the equity and the economy parts. Second, I'm running on maintaining our infrastructure. We have invested as taxpayers in our roads and in our buildings. And before we build new ones, we need to take care of the ones we have. This is probably less important to folks that live inside the city of Gainesville, but if you live in Hawthorne or Waldo or Archer or some of the other cities, there are some really, really badly maintained county roads. And those need to be moved up to a higher level of focus on the agenda. Finally, I'm running to make Alachua County more resilient in the future. So whether or not it's climate disruption, extreme weather, climate migration, we're having 1,000 people a year are moving to Alachua County, and many of those are coming from the coast. We're seeing, climate migration already, whether it's political upheaval or pandemics. We need to have a good plan for Alachua County for the future. So that involves getting our financial house in order, being able to take care of ourselves, so having housing and food security. Those are all things that I see as being part of a resilient county, a county that's able to face the things that the future might throw at us.
Thank you. So you alluded to what I have come to refer to as the 3 E's: environment, economy, and equity. And those
Yes.
are highly complex areas with equally complex needs and consequences and geographic implications in and for our community. And
Yes.
that some would say that our county has struggled at times to balance those needs and has leaned most often toward prioritizing the environment. So how do you plan to balance those needs and move us forward in all 3?
Well, first, and from a policy perspective, we need to have a policy. I think past commissions have tended to see things in terms of a silo. This is an environmental issue. This is an equity issue. This is an economic issue. When in fact, all of them are all 3 all the time, just at different levels, right? So as an example, a landfill was put in East Alachua County, just on the edge of Gainesville. It's been there for a long time. It's a construction landfill, and they made an application to increase the height of that landfill. Actually, twice they've done that. And that was seen as an environmental decision, and the commission looked at it, and environmentally they felt like it was a good choice. And of course, the landfill owner is making more money now because he can get better value per acre on his land, and the builders and developers, mostly in West Alachua County, don't have to drive as far to get rid of their waste. So, they're making more money. But we didn't look at that in an equitable way, right? So all the people that live around that landfill that now open their door and see this giant looming thing out of their back door, they're not being compensated for what probably affects their property value. So that to me was an equity issue that wasn't addressed. And so, when we make any decision, we need to look at all the implications. So they did a good job, for instance, on Archer with a solar farm that wanted to be put in a historically Black agricultural community. And those people did not want a solar farm as their neighbor. They wanted to maintain the, type of neighborhood that they had. So they did not want the county to make a special exception for the solar farm. So instead of looking at it just as an environmental issue, they also looked at the equity implications of that, probably because the neighbors forced them to, but because of that, they ended up not approving that change of use. Mm-hmm. So I would like to make sure that we do that every time. We always look at all three on all things. So that's a policy, that we do that.
Thank you. So to say that race is a hot button issue right now would be an understatement. What are your thoughts on the issue of race, the issue of race in Alachua County, and how do you believe we can increase equity here?
As someone that has grown up in Alachua County, I've always seen race as being something that affects us less than it affects the counties around us. We've always been a little bit better at doing things. That's what I thought. And then I started hearing things like Gail Johnson's report on equity in the city of Gainesville, and seeing that, a tenth of contracts go to women and like 100th of them go to people of color. And that's not equitable. So we need to have policies in place within the county to make sure that everyone's being treated fairly, that we give an opportunity to all the people that are at the table. And, that's, again, is a policy issue, and we need to address that from a
Mary, I don't know if you can hear me. You're frozen.
You were frozen too. Now
okay.
You're okay. We were both frozen.
Back. Yep. So if you don't mind just going back over the last few things you said.
Okay, let's see. Where was I?
So the question, would you like me to repeat the question?
Well, I don't want to start over. So I was talking about Gail Johnson. So
yes.
Right. So my goal as a county commissioner would be to go through a similar process with the county that Gail's done with the city, because we can't silo the city as one institution addressing race. We can't silo the county either. We have to all work together. So I would like to create a coalition between the city, the county, all of our small municipalities, the University of Florida and Shands, and any of our large employers that we could get involved, the school board, and create this coalition of people to address race from a policy perspective and set an example for the rest of the community. This is how you do it. I don't know if I can get all those players on board, but that's a goal that I have. And I think that it needs to, we need to address it from a policy point of view. And then, obviously we have to address it from all the other points of view, whether that's housing or law enforcement or schools. There's race implications to every one of those things.
Thank you. So in what ways do you believe you can work with the faith community to move our community forward, or move our county forward, excuse me?
Well, the faith community is a cornerstone of Alachua County, especially, I have a house in the greater Duval area, and there's churches on, every other corner, it seems like. And, and that's, churches used to be what held our community together. And in some places they still do. And I would like to see us utilize the connections within the churches, especially in times of emergencies. When we have inclement weather, and people are forced out of their homes due to hurricanes or power outages. You know, churches are often the first people that contact folks, right, to make sure that they're okay. And how is that connected to our emergency management system? Or is it? Right. And so those are things that ways that we can pull together as a community and utilize those, utilize those connections. That's just one example. Another great example is feeding our community. We have so many people that are food insecure right now. And I believe your church is even doing a food distribution this weekend.
We are. Yes.
Oh, great. Yeah. So that's another way that we can work with the community. I would love to have a food security administrator at the county level to help coordinate all of the efforts between the churches and private institutions and make sure that we don't have waste. You know, we end up with 5 pallets of food delivered in one place and 1 in another, and in between we end up with, you know, boxes of food that aren't being utilized. And so we really need to have a coordinator to make sure that all these things go to where they need to go. We also have many people that are transportation limited as well, that are not getting the things that they need. And that's another way that we can help coordinate, you know, helping make sure everyone in our community is fed. There's no excuse for anyone to be hungry, but unfortunately they are, you know. So.
Right. Thank you for that. So we've gotten through this fairly quickly. And I apologize for my dog if you heard him in the background.
That's all right. You might have heard my chickens, so we're even.
Saw me glancing to the side. It's because all of a sudden there was this ruckus outside the door. I tried to mute it out. Is there anything that you would like to say that I have not asked you about?
Oh gosh, well, let's see. I can tell your folks a little bit about myself. I've born and raised in Alachua County. I'm the oldest of 9 kids. I went to P.K. Young Laboratory School growing up. I graduated in 1979, which was an interesting time in Gainesville. And it appears you were frozen. So are we disconnected again?
Okay, you are frozen. Now you're unfrozen.
Okay, you are too.
Hear you.
All right, I'm going to start that again.
Sure.
Okay, I think it's the weather. It's pretty bad out here.
Perhaps.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Gainesville, went to P.K. Young, graduated in 1979. I'm the oldest of 9 children. I came from a fairly religious household, and part of that was I ended up marrying young and having 4 children. Which meant that I divorced young, as often happens, and went back to school, went to Santa Fe College and then the University of Florida. It took me 10 years, but I got a degree and working my way through school and became an engineer. And I've been a small business owner here in Alachua County for 13 years and focusing on sustainability and affordable housing. And we're a mission-oriented company, so we're not rich, but we try to make sure that everybody has access to good design and efficient home building techniques. And I'd like to say that we've really helped Habitat for Humanity build much better houses than they were 10 years ago. So that's just a little bit about me. I've served on lots of local boards and everything from the code enforcement to the Environmental Protection Advisory Board, to the Utility Advisory Board, to the Cultural Arts Coalition, to I'm on the NAACP Environmental Justice Committee, and Florida Defenders of the Environment. So I've tried to learn the things that I needed to learn about our community and not try to believe that I, know everything because I've just grown up here. Because I know that I only see things from, my little corner here. So I've tried to get out and learn what I needed to learn. And so I welcome anybody to contact me if you have something that you want to discuss or you're, concerned about. And my phone number is 352-317-4480. Just give me a call or send me a text. I can't promise I'll answer right away, but I will answer, or I will call you back. You can also go to my webpage, alfordforalachua.com, and or send me an email, votemarylford@gmail.com. So I hope I have your vote on November 3rd or before, and yeah, let's make Alachua County better.
Mary, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today.
Oh, thank you, Alyssa. It was great.
Great. And for those of you who are watching, thank you as well. And if you want to keep up with what we're doing at Open Door Ministries, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/opendoorgnv. Thanks and have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right.